We are back at the Who is Will Sims podcast. So thank you for tuning in, those who have been listening. I know it's probably mostly my friends, but every now and then I hear from someone I don't really know that well. They say they've listened, and that's awesome. The title of this episode is This the End? And in some ways it is, and in some ways it isn't. The podcast is a lot of work, just to haphazardly put it out. But I think I want to keep this thing going and put a little more work into it. You can see I've got this, it's kind of a silly overlay, but this cool little mask for the page. Doing my first video solo podcast. This is sort of an experiment. Just been messing around with some stuff. I really want to try to take this a little bit more seriously. Not that I wasn't before, but I kind of was just doing it to do it. And it was a chance to hang out with friends and, chat about stuff that, we'd never get the chance to talk about. And so that was awesome, but I think that there's opportunity here to do some really cool stuff. And so I want to push the boundaries of what I can do with this medium. So I decided I'm going to make some changes to some of the formats. Before this was sort of more of a creative exercise to try and push myself into new territories. And while it was fun, it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought. And, maybe people appreciated certain things, maybe they didn't. But in general, I felt like the certain things that I was doing was kind of I was just doing it to mess around. One example of that is the intro music that I was, programming a new one for each episode. That was a fun experiment, and I do plan on continuing to make music in that medium. But I think I want to do more. I want to be more in depth with those compositions, and so moving forward. Probably at the beginning of this episode, there will be, I'm actually going to use a Will Sims song, one of my songs. Probably better off alone because it's a banger and it just gets you pumped when it comes in with that heavy bass. I should have checked my hair before I did this. Hold on, let me fix this. This is the sort of raw authenticity you get when you listen to the Who is Will Sims podcast. In place of the experimental intros and outros, there will be an official intro which will be pre-recorded, and that will kind of get us pumped up when the episode starts. And then I just started another YouTube channel associated with this one. It's going to be a clips channel. I'll tag that in the comments. I'm sorry, not in the comments, in the description. So you can go check that out. So if you're interested in some of the things from previous episodes, you can go back. I'll have I've started putting up shorts using clips from previous episodes. As well as clips on the clip channel, which are just little segments, little highlights I thought were good. Doing that has forced me to go back through some of those first episodes I did, those first interviews, and I just realized how terrible of a host I was at the time. In all fairness, I was still figuring it out, and I'm still figuring it out. but I at least feel like I'm getting a better grasp on what it's like to have someone on and to get them talking about what they're doing and what's exciting to them and making it a fun experience. The other thing too is, this is all a work in progress. So anytime, any people that have feedback or suggestions, throw them in the comments, shoot me a message. Trying to get this a little more professional. Hopefully you'll see with some of the stuff I've been messing around with this, how fun that's been. So I also have made a Instagram and a TikTok for the podcast, which will also get the shorts put up there, in order to, help spread the word, spread the good word, trying to get this thing in front of people. So that's the deal with the podcast. In the coming weeks, I have a recap of the Never Early Fest that I was a part of. I got to perform at it, and I shot some video at it, and that was a really cool show to get to be a part of. So there'll be a cool recap video of that, and then I also have an interview that I did with the Maryland local band Black Lake Minor, and talking about their recent EP they put out, as well as their new music that's coming out, and just getting in depth with what they've got going on. In my personal life, I've got a new album coming out. I don't know if that's really personal life, but yeah, y'all don't care about my personal life. Maybe you do, I don't know. But in the music world, the new album is almost out. I've been dropping singles the past few months, so you can go check those out on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube or wherever you listen to music. Go check out some of those songs. The intro song is off the new album, so that's called Better Off Alone. So check it out. The album will be called Do You Feel Alive? And that is the big question I like to think about on a regular basis. Do you feel alive? The album release show the album will come out Saturday or Monday. I think it's Monday, July 21st. And then the album release show will be Saturday, August 23rd. It will be at Monument City Brewing Company. I already have the flyers out and be pushing that show by the time this comes out. And then on that show, we will have some podcast alumni. I really need to enunciate. I'm like slurring my words, and I don't even have any tequila in my system. Podcast alumni, we've got Old Eastern, whom you'll know, Nick and Molly from the Old Eastern Ink Shop. Brendan Clark, who just released his solo EP. And who knows, maybe even Alicia O'Malley will be jumping up there with them to saw on the Git fiddle. And so that should be a really cool show. And then, of course, we have Hilly Jude, who will be opening the show with an acoustic set. So that will be a fun night all around. So if you are in the Baltimore area, Saturday, August 23rd at Monument City Brewing Company, it's going to be a good time. All right, so I want to talk about some recent media I've been ingesting, because trying to, have time to enjoy things. I've been gigging a lot. I've had a lot of gigs this year so far, not as many as last year, but still a decent amount. And but more local stuff this year, and that's given me a little more time to go and enjoy some things. So we'll go over and we'll talk about what's new in the world, because All right. I want to talk about the new Mission Impossible movie because it just came out, within the last month, and I'm not always on top of talking about things right when they come out because these things take a little time to put out. So I'm going to try to get better at having a quicker turnaround when talking about these things. So, Mission Impossible 8, or Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Always weird noises. So, this was kind of touted as the end game for Mission Impossible movies, and they were talking about it like it was Tom Cruise's big finale. Trying to make it seem like he. And by the way, we're going to talk spoilers here because the movie's been out, a couple weeks now. If you want to go watch a spoiler-free review, there's plenty of professionals out there that are doing that. So yeah, this was touted as kind of like the big finale for Tom Cruise. It's a long movie. Sadly, I didn't think it was one of the better Mission Impossible movies. I mean, my favorites are obviously the original, Mission Impossible 3, Ghost Protocol. Fallout was probably the best one in my opinion, although Rogue Nation was also really good. But it kind of falls short of those top tier ones, mostly because it's a long movie. There's a lot of parts that feel really drawn out. It does have an incredible cast. They really pulled out the stops, although, they really leaned into like a lot of flashbacks from old movies and stuff like that. And in my opinion, most of it kind of felt a little unnecessary. Felt like they kept reiterating the same points over and over again. This is why this is bad. This is why we got to stop it. It was just one of those things. Like, it felt like they were trying really hard to remind us what the stakes were, and it's like, we get it. It's like the end of the world. We gotta save the day. So, all in all, it was a good time. It kind of opens with like a big emotional moment with Ving Rhames' character who sacrifices himself, and he, he's been a part of the franchise for the whole thing. I think he's been in every one. There may have been one that he wasn't really in. I think there may have been one he wasn't really in, but then he like shows up at the very end for like a cameo. But generally he's been there for every one. So it was like sad to see him go, but this franchise is like a little long in the tooth in terms of just like how many times does the same person save the world over and over again. It's like, all right, we get it, man. I was kind of expecting a little bit more of like a tie-in with all the other movies. Instead, it kind of felt like they were like forcing a lot of things in, like, oh, this character's in here and they're related to this person from the first movie. And it's like, okay, you could have just, brought back another actor from one of the previous ones. It would have been a little bit more exciting. Like bring back the helicopter pilot from Mission Impossible 2. Like, give him some fun lines. Have him do like a cool sequence. Maybe they didn't want to compete with Tom Cruise flying every vehicle known to man, but just like little stuff like that would have been appreciated more, other than like, hey, remember that one movie that came out forever ago? Like, we're now going to retroactively tie it into this one. And, so there was a lot of stuff like that. Like, Nick Offerman's in the movie. He plays like one of the head of like the Secretary of State or something like that. And it just felt like completely unnecessary. Like, they were trying to force all these actors into these scenes and make it seem like what they were doing was really important. When like, and like, I get like why, I get that they were trying to show like the stakes in action, but then it felt like there was a lot of times where they were cutting back to that, and I was like, I don't care about these people. Just go back to the mission, So at the end of the day, it was a fun time, but not as much action as I would have liked. The the uh, the finale is kind of you know. Like I almost like, again, spoiler alert, Tom Cruise doesn't die. So this isn't even like, there's like a good chance this isn't even the last one. Like they could just bring him back again and make more, so we'll see what happens there. But all in all, what can you do? I had to give it like a B. If I had to give it a rating, it was like a B, maybe like a B minus. But all right, on to the next thing. Only took 7 clicks to make that happen. All right, Predator, Killer of Killers. So, if you're a fan of the Predator franchise and you feel like for a while it's been kind of lackluster, this was a good time. It's not really much to spoil here because it's not like a big tentpole movie where there's like a bunch of crazy plot and stuff. There are cool Easter eggs. There's a lot of really cool sequences. There's cool Predator lore, but in general, this is mostly just kind of like a roller coaster ride. The one that I watched, I don't know if there's just a straight English dub, but the one I watched, there's subtitles because there's different languages and stuff. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, the original Predator is freaking amazing. I don't see it as like a perfect movie, although like it's perfect in the sense of like how cool, like it's just like a cool movie. But in terms of like when you compare it to some of the other movies and some of the more creative things they've done with the idea since the first one was made, you got to give credit to the first one for kicking it off. But since then they've gone real far with it and done really cool stuff. They've also done a lot of really lame stuff. So I'm not like defending the bad movies and stuff, or I'm just trying to say they've done cooler things. I always liked Predator 2. That was just like kind of like when I was a kid, I liked the first one. So the second one, I was just like, more of the thing I love. Awesome. And then was it Predators? Obviously there was the Alien vs. Predator movies, which I thought the first one was fun until the Predator teams up with the girl and they're like running side by side. Then it was like a little goofy to me. And then Alien vs. Predator Requiem, we won't talk about that one because that was just, there's a lot of disappointing things about that movie. But the Predators, I thought that was a good time. I thought it was a little rushed at the end, but in general, it's like great cast, great actors. Generally, when I'm watching a Predator movie, there's a few things I want to see. I want to see you set up a bunch of characters, make me like them, show that they're like competent, badass characters, and then have them slowly fall one by one to the Predator, who outsmarts them or uses his technology against them. And want creative, cool kills, and Predators had a few of those. Maybe I'll do like a top 10 Predator kills list. That'd be fun. I like lists. And then I thought The Predator was really bad. I thought it had a good cast. I thought for the most part, most of the actors in it were doing a fine job, but I didn't think like any of the deaths in the movie were good at all. There may have been like one or two. I don't know. I got to go back and watch it, but like that one was a big disappointment for me. I think it was like one of those things where like the Predator didn't even kill as many people as like other things in the movie killed people. Like there's a point where like the gun malfunctions. The guy has the Predator gun on his shoulder, and I think it like malfunctions and shoots himself in the head. And then there's like a point where like the two characters get impaled by like branches, so they just shoot each other to kill each other. And then one guy gets his legs chopped off by the shield of the ship. I was like, the Predator isn't even killing the people. Like, and then the one guy that does get killed, the guy from the Game of Thrones, like he gets shot in the arm and then he shoots off a flare and then you just never see what happens to him. Like, you couldn't even show me the Predator killing that guy. So I was just like, it was a whole movie of the Predator not killing people. Except for there was the one Predator in the beginning that killed a bunch of people using an assault rifle. So anyways, and then Prey. I really liked Prey. I thought Prey was a good return to form. The only thing I would say about Prey is I feel like they didn't really flesh out as many of the characters. Like, it was mostly just the girl, her brother, and that was it. Like, I almost feel like the French people got more of a fleshed out than like a lot of the other like Native Americans in the movie that get killed. It was just like, all right, like, so, but overall, Prey was a good time. So, killer of killers. I would say the flaw for me in this movie is like the kills in it are gnarly, but like there's no savoring it. There's no like moment where like you're like kind of rooting for the person, and then like they get killed, and then you're like, oh man, it's just kind of like they set up some characters and you're like, all right, here's the team, and then like within a minute, like 90% of them are dead, and they get killed in like gruesome ways, but like still, I almost kind of wanted like 15 more minutes of each one, like of each segment. So it's basically broken into 3 segments. There's the Viking section, the samurai section, and then the like World War II section. And I almost like wish it was more like a TV show, and each one had like 10 or 15 more minutes where like it kind of like, gave each character a little bit more time to like get killed by the Predator and then have like the big showdown at the end. But this was kind of presented more as like a movie, and like it goes through each section pretty quickly. Not like super quickly, maybe like 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes in each one. And then it does tie it all together at the end in an awesome battle sequence, which is really cool. But overall, and it does tie into other movies in its own way, which is really cool. So what I would say about this movie is it's got me excited for Badlands, Predator Badlands, which is coming out this year, I think. Because the guy who did Prey also did this one, and he's doing Badlands. So really excited to see what he's got coming. Hopefully he'll kind of help usher in a new age of amazing Predator and Predator-related things. All right, Predator, killer of killers. All right, next, I want to talk about The Last of Us Season 2. So, Season 2's done. Again, spoilers. So, I did not... How can I say this with it? Because I don't want to alienate people who have opinions on these things, but here's the thing. When I'm ingesting something, like when I played the first Last of Us game and the second Last of Us game, I already kind of knew all the big ticket things that happened because, the drama surrounding it was pretty hard to miss. But in general, when I'm watching something, I try to appreciate the story that is being presented to me, as opposed to looking at it and going, oh, they should have did this or they should have done that, unless it's like something like really obvious. I was saying about the Mission Impossible thing, but that was because of the way that it was being, presented to us. And so like the Last of Us games, that was the story they intended to tell, and it was a powerful story, whether you liked what happened or not. I respect that they told the story they wanted to tell. And I'm sure that there was a part of them that knew that people might not respond to things well. And so I appreciate that with The Last of Us, they didn't try to like cater to people who didn't like what happened in the games. They stuck pretty well to their guns, and they're sticking with the story that they want to tell. I think that Last of Us Season 2 was a pretty solid season. It had some pretty good thrills, and I'm looking forward to Season 3. I like the girl they got as Abby. I've seen her in other things. She's a good actor, and I think that she can bring. I'd like to see her take the lead and get a little bit more, of a chance to show like her chops and hopefully win over people. I'd like to think people will watch it. I mean, like, I understand people who were just watching for Pedro Pascal, and now that he's dead, they're gonna tune out or whatever. But hopefully they're like the idea, other than the whole nature of revenge and the how it can consume you, the idea that he saved her life, he saved Ellie's life, and then was killed because of it. You almost like, you kind of hope that people would want to keep watching, because you care about Ellie. And like, while I'm here, I just want to say I think all the hate she gets online is just ridiculous. If you didn't like her in the first season, like, why did you keep watching the show? But I think she's a good actor. I think she does. I know I keep saying she. It's they, them, or I think non-binary. I don't know how all that works. I'm really bad at that stuff. So destroy me in the comments if you want to correct me. But Bella Ramsey, I think, is doing great work with the role. I think people that like are mad because they didn't get an actor that looked more like the video game character. It's like, like I don't think a lot of people think about how someone like, I think Neil Druckmann, I think is his name. Someone will work really hard to get your a show like The Last of Us just greenlit, and then you get it greenlit, you only have a certain amount of time to put together a cast and get it into production, because after a while, like, you basically lose the interest of it. And the nature of the industry is you get the people you can in the time you have, and you work the best with it. Now, yes, maybe there's other actors that could have portrayed Ellie better. I even liked that. I even like the idea of the girl that's playing Abby could have played her. But the fact of the matter is that they get who they can get, and they do the best they can with what they're given. Now, I'm not saying any of that to sound negative toward Bella Ramsey. I think that she's doing great with the role. You may or may not like the direction she's taken with it, but for the most part, it's pretty true. It's pretty true to the games. And the medium of TV and film is different than video games. You have more time to cook in video games, let things cook, drop little nuggets of story here and there to kind of build to what you want. Whereas like in a show, you got to keep things moving. You're making this for mass people to watch, So I think a lot of the hate that she's been getting online has been ridiculous. I'd call most of it bullying, which is just sad. If that's what people think is like, an acceptable way to respond to something, I think that that's sad and ridiculous. Like, 10 years from now, they're probably going to remake all this anyway. So just chill. You get the opportunity, or, maybe they'll make like a movie or version of it or something. But it's like, I've seen people who'll be like, oh, there's a girl on Instagram that looks more like Ellie. It's like, yeah, but can she act? If she can't act, then what's the point? There's rules and shit in place that goes into this whole industry, and if you think you could do it better, why don't you go start making film and movies and try it for yourself. And like I said, I'm not saying it's a flawless show. I'm just saying I think that people get upset about the stupidest things sometimes. You know, and I get upset about stupid things too. You'll see in just a little bit. All right. But that's all I got to say about Last of Us Season 2. I'm excited for Season 3. Hopefully they can keep people on board to finish the story they want to tell. But, you know, I'm all for 6 seasons in a movie. Bring it. All right. All right. So I'm going to talk real quick about Helldivers 2 because I've been playing this game a good bit. It's a fun time. If you like PvP, co-op, shoot 'em up things, it's just ridiculous, man. There's so many crazy things that happen in this game. It feels like being a part of like some kind of role-playing community. But it's just a lot of fun. So they just did like a whole thing where the aliens invade Earth and you have to defend Earth, and it was just some berserk stuff going on in that. So, but what I just wanted to give this game a shout out because it's one of those few games where like a lot of times if I get into a game like this, like Call of Duty Warzone was one. It was fun for a minute, but then it's like it's just it's kind of repetitive, and the only thing that keeps it interesting is the extra stuff you got to pay for to keep it interesting. This game is just so well made and so much fun. You know, getting together with people and like just destroying hordes of bugs and robots and aliens. Like it's just a great formula, and somehow they've managed to keep it interesting despite all of the like a lot of games in this realm, in this live service realm, it's had its issues. So they've managed to keep it going pretty strong, I think. So if you're looking for a fun game, I highly recommend jumping in and helping spread some democracy. All right. Before I talk about the new Elden Ring game, I just want to talk about the Silent Hill 2 game. I wasn't initially going to talk about this because, first of all, it came out like a year ago or something like that, so I'm kind of late to the party with playing this. But with the recent announcement that they're remaking the first game, Haunted House, I thought I'd talk about it because it's a fun game, and I was always more of a Resident Evil guy. The game, I'm not like a huge fan of like the fixed camera tank control type games. Although like I have gone back and played some of the old Resident Evils, and I've kind of, I appreciate it, but I much more prefer the over the shoulder, kind of having a little more mobility. There's nothing worse than when I'm playing a game and like they don't have like a simple mechanic where it's like if I was there, I would more likely survive than this character because I didn't like push this button combo exactly right. Like, oh, I had to turn like this and then run in that direction. Like that kind of stuff annoys me. So I like games that have a little bit more like you have a little bit more agency to defend yourself if you have good timing and stuff. So with this game, I really appreciated the gameplay element of it. The story was really, deep. It was a good, I think it was like a 15, 20 hour game. Like it played a lot longer than I thought it would. But just like I love games that have a creative element to it as well as like keeping you on edge. Like I liked the Evil Within games because they had that element. Resident Evil has that, like usually like the first half of the game has a lot of that, and then the second half is just like balls to the wall, gunplay. Yeah, so I highly recommend this game. They're remaking the first one. From my understanding, the two games aren't necessarily linked, like they're two different stories, so you could go play this one and not feel like you're missing out by not playing the first one. I know they've been doing like this weird thing with Resident Evil and Silent Hill where they'll remake the most popular games first. So they like remade Resident Evil 2 and then they remade Silent Hill 2, and now they're, remaking the other ones. But But in general, like I think like this has made me a Silent Hill fan, and now I'm really excited for Silent Hill F and the Silent Hill, original remake. So just wanted to chat for a second about that. All right, the big kahuna, Elden Ring Night Rain. So I'm itching, to go downstairs and play this game right now. I probably will. And I might have to see about getting my Twitch channel back up for this, because I've probably got like 200 hours into Elden Ring. I'm on my third playthrough, I think. I've beaten the DLC once and the main campaign twice, so I'm in my third playthrough. Beaten every boss on the game at least once. I'm not like a Dark Souls purist. I just play the game with everything that's at my disposal. I'm not like no spirit summons, no this, no that. I just like playing the games and enjoying what was made, But like, my first Souls game was Sekiro, and I've beaten that 3 times. I think I got the 2 of the good endings, and then I had to do the bad ending to fight the last 2 bosses. So I've beaten that 3 times. Bloodborne, I beat Bloodborne once, and I have Demon Souls, but I haven't finished it yet. I've only gotten a couple hours in. Have not played any of the Dark Souls games. I don't know if or when I'll get around to that, but overall, like, I understand the design of the games, and I try to appreciate the difficulty of it, although there's times that things feel really cheap. So as of now, I've beaten 3 of the Night Lords. It took me a long time to beat the one like gaping dragon thing. Drove me nuts. I definitely broke one of my controllers in frustration. Felt like a really cheap boss, but at the end, once we took him down, that we felt so triumphant. Yeah, it's like, for the style of game it is, it's like a roller coaster ride of an experience. So if you like fantasy type games and you don't mind a little bit of difficulty, Night Rain is a good time. And what I love about these games is you can just kind of go in and play through them and enjoy this crazy world that's been created, but like the lore for them is like so in depth. And if you you could just go on YouTube and watch lore videos for hours of people talking about their theories and everything, and how everything ties in to the game, to like, the story, and it's just so crazy. So, but anyways, Elden Ring Night Rain, good time. I look forward to going back and playing that. All right. So thanks for tuning in. I am looking forward to doing some more episodes here like this. I'm going to try might try some different designs for the page mask, but overall, just trying to level up here. Be sure to share any ideas you have, and I will see you soon.